we're all set for the Pre-66 Grand Prix cars to go racing once again for 20 minutes at the Classic at Silverstone. The front row, Will Nuttall in car number 10 with Rudy Friedrichs alongside in car number 12. The second row, Andrew Haddon in the Scarab, Justin Mayers in another Cooper, the T53, and then Barry Cannell in a Brabham on row 3 with John Spears in a Maserati. Also, the 250F on the third row of the grid. This is going to be quite a mix of cars as the race is getting underway, and we will see how it goes. Yeah, light out. Will Nuttall taking the lead from the pole position, but I think Rudy Friedrichs is going to have a good old go at him around the outside. Yeah, he's taken it already as they turn into Abbey Corner. So Friedrichs has taken the advantage from the Maserati had a big slide there. I think he's managed to get it together. That was a big tank slapper, but he sorted it, thankfully. Otherwise, that could have been a nasty incident going through Abbey Corner. So Friedrichs has the advantage. Will Nuttall is back into second place, and these two are leading the group of cars. Now the Scarab has got into third, the front engine Scarab of Andrew Haddon. He was in third on the grid. He's maintained that position. Real mix and oh, we got a spinner there. Oh, the middle of the pack. What a shame. But the number 59 car, and it's another car stuck in there as well. So that's Paul Wayne and his Cooper. I can't see what the other car that got involved in is yet. And we've got a battle up front as trying to come back. The pole man, Will Nuttall, trying to take that position that got taken from him on the start. He's right there, but meanwhile Andrew Haddon in third is trying to take full advantage as well. And often when you've got two people fighting in front of you, you're in a great position to take full advantage of that. A little bit of slipping, sliding around. Although the track is not nearly as wet as it was earlier, it is still quite greasy.
A great start from the front engine car, as we thought of Andrew Haddon. It really shouldn't be where it is in this race. He's driving the wheels off it, but it's the two cars in the lead, very similar in colour, but the number 12 is Rudy Friedrichs and Will Nuttall number 10. There's the number 30 light blue Scarab of Andrew Haddon in third place, and he's gone round quite wide there. I wonder whether the car ahead of him slowed. No, it didn't. It just looked like he'd slowed a minute there, but in fourth place is Justin Mayers, and then a great start also from another of the front engine cars of John Spears, and up into second place has gone Andrew Haddon. He's got past Will Nuttall coming into Beckett's. By
really going for it though. I mean, he's been running right out to the edges, as you said, and now he loses the place back again on the exit of the corner. He is really trying hard. I think he's got great confidence in this car. It's got a balance. Oh, and suddenly slowing down, Will. There's a problem on Will Nuttall's car. Oh, what a shame. The man who started from pole is pulling back. He's getting out of the way of everybody else. He's taken the inside line, and it's all coming to an early end for Will. What a great shame, because he's been driving really well, and yesterday he finished in second place. He was hoping to get the victory today, but sadly that is not going to happen, and it's Rudy Friedrichs who now leads in the Cooper T53.
So at the moment, yes, Friedrichs leading from Andrew Haddon in the Scarab in second place. Third place, another front engine car. This is a most unusual, oh no, it's not another front engine car, it's Justin Mayers, then another front engine car in fourth place, which is very unusual. We don't normally get the front engine cars up at the front of the running order in these races, but that's John Spears there in the number 34 Maserati 250F, probably the greatest looking of those front engine Formula One cars. Very close to in shape to a Ferrari of the time, but I just think the Maserati has those beautiful lines as John Spears slides through the village and then into the left-hander at the loop, just trying to coax it round. You can see the understeer there, and then a little bit of oversteer as he comes out of the corner, feeding in the power, and into the lead has gone Andrew Haddon, because we can see behind him is Rudy Friedrichs.
So the front engine car is now in front. And the damp conditions certainly seem to suit the front engine cars. We saw that in Formula Junior. We were watching it as well in the Grand Prix cars of the similar era. And the Scarab, which in its day was seen to be a little outdated and didn't get the sort of success that they had hoped to see, nonetheless is delivering well here. Now, can Andrew hold it together as the track dries up a little bit? There's only 16 minutes to go, and his laps are looking very good, very consistent. He did a 2 minutes 46 last time around. Friedrichs definitely made a little mistake somewhere to lose that place, and there sadly is Will Nuttall in the pits. Oh, ouch. Always a bit of a worry. Don't run over your mechanic. There was a bit of confusion. He thought, I've been told to go, so he started to move. They weren't quite out of the way yet.
and that's the Nuttall family team that prepare that car, so that'll be one of his own mechanics. But he looked okay, made sure before he moved away that mechanic was okay. But here we've got the leader now coming through Beckett's, and it's Andrew Haddon driving very, very well indeed in the very unusual Scarab. Not a car, we've seen it plenty of times in Julian Bronson's hands, the owner of the car, but not a car that we saw in period very much, because it was, as you've said, outdated by the time it was launched in 1960. Already the quicker cars had gone rear-engined by then. And it was a car that was built and driven by Lance Revenclough and his chief mechanic Chuck Day, were the two drivers in the car in period.
Isn't it lovely? I love that story, you know, that it was his chief mechanic who got to drive one as well. What a different world we live in now.
Yes.
If you're a chief mechanic or chief race engineer for a Formula One team, how often do you get to drive a Formula One car? It just doesn't happen. It was a very different period in motorsport.
I think there'd be people that say that it is the team that are actually driving the car these days,
well,
but
yeah.
That's not true. The drivers still have a lot of work to do. Lovely slide there.
Yeah, I was just
Lovely.
looking, I was enjoying that drift as he came out of Club Corner. He's got wonderful car control, and he feels so much confidence clearly on this slippery track in this car. So whatever they've done in terms of setup, it really, really does work in these slippery conditions where the mid-engine cars can be a bit nervous. The whole point of, in a way, of a mid-engine car is it helps the turn-in. You get a more responsive turn-in with a mid-engine car, but in the wet that can sometimes be a little bit unnerving. It can almost flick in too quickly, whereas the front-engine car, you get a little bit more time to get the car turned in beautifully, get back on the power, and I think that's kind of what we're witnessing here today in these slippery conditions. Andrew Haddon opening up a 2.6 second gap, but some wonderful cars a little further down the order as well. The number 24 car that we're enjoying watching right there is Lee Mole in the Lotus 18. So that was a 2.5 litre engined car in its day, 1960, before the limitation on engine size reduced once again to 1500cc in Formula One. They brought the levels down, and then of course after 1965 it went back up to 3 litres. So there was quite a shift in engine sizes. Car running rather wide in the background there. That was James Willis in his Cooper T45. Thankfully no damage. I think he's just able to rejoin and not have any problems. But watching these cars in all their different formats, always fun to see, and a real mixture once again.
And the car leading this group is one of the earlier rear-engine cars, and you can see how it's the Tom Dark car, number 1, and it's slightly bigger and more bulbous behind the driver, and the driver still sitting relatively upright in the car. But then you look at the car at the back of the group, and we've moved to a much more toothpaste tube shape in the Lotus there, with the car just coming through the picture now. That's the car number 21, which is Alex Morton's Lotus 21. And by then Colin Chapman had got the shape of the car really thin and very light indeed.
Of course they had a smaller engine, so you didn't have so much size to sort of fit in there, did you? With the 1500cc engine that Formula Ones were designated to run, maximum capacity of 1500cc at that point. Coventry Climax delivering fantastic motors for the Lotus teams, and Cooper, that really was the engine to have at the time, and it proved to be very, very successful indeed. Heading down towards Stowe Corner, and another mix getting involved there. Is that car number 11 that's joining in? No. Let's just take a look as they head on down, trying to identify exactly which car that is.
I think that might be Barry Cannell coming
right,
through there.
Okay.
It was a
Yes,
head-on shot. Couldn't really
right.
see.
Yeah, in the Brabham.
Yeah,
Yes.
It looked like him, but there we are. We've got a better shot now as he's made up 2 places in that short section down the Hanger Straight, but actually not quite got past the number 24 of Lee Mole, the Lotus 18. Lee Mole used to drive in the British GT Championship, but shifted his allegiances now to historic racing.
Yeah, and once again they're having a good run as they come up towards Abbey. The race leader, Andrew Haddon, has opened up a 4.5 second advantage over Friedrichs in second place. 11 minutes remaining, but that front engine Scarab is doing a fine job up front and further extending the lead. Has fastest lap. Last time around he was 2 seconds faster than Friedrichs.
And Lee Mole and Barry Cannell have been side by side for most of the half a lap that we've been watching, and they're still virtually side by side. Mole just been passed now. Finally Barry Cannell got through, That's the number 3 red car. That's the Brabham BT11A. And down onto the Wellington Straight, and his next target now is the Rod Jolly Cooper just ahead of him. We're back to the leader again. It's Andrew Haddon in the Scarab.
Yeah, and he's got a very controlled margin at the moment over everybody else, over 4.5 seconds. I'm really enjoying watching this car, I have to say. It might be front engine, but there's beautiful livery, it's low, it's beautifully put together, and they've clearly done a lot of work on setup. And you can see the coil spring damper units on the outside of each corner, a big exhaust pipe running alongside the driver there. But it's this balance that he's got, total confidence. When he gets sideways, he doesn't lift immediately off the throttle. He just kind of keeps the power on. He knows he's got the control to hold it in that little slide. Looking in his mirrors, he can't see anything because there's nobody there behind him at the moment. He's got such a big advantage over Friedrichs in second place and Mayers in third. Spears is still going well in the Maserati 250F. He's still holding on to fourth place at the moment. So again, the front engine cars are definitely making the most of these slippery conditions right now. Looking at the list, we've got a few people who have moved up, a few people that have moved down. A big jump up the field for the number 29 car of Nick Fennell in the Lotus 25. He had a problem yesterday, didn't he?
He went off in the gravel, yes,
yeah.
That's right, and got stuck, yeah.
So that explains it. That is a great car, the Lotus 25, a Jim Clark car, winner of the time, and Fennell has got up into 17th place. Now I wonder if he can climb further than that. He is in a group of cars. There's a bit of a gap to where his next battle is beginning, but if he can catch the back of that group, then he's got a good chance of gaining a few more places, but it'll take a lap or two to catch them, I think. So just watching the rest of them coming through at the moment. So you saw John Spears in the Maserati briefly in fourth place. As we look at the leader again, bit of understeer through some of the slow corners, but again he can kind of keep his foot in. It doesn't suddenly react. He gets a nice smooth feel from the car. Number 7 there is Paul Griffin in the Cooper T51, chased by number 64, Ben Mayers, son of Justin, who's running in third place. The two of the Mayers family having fun in this race, and Jeff Underwood in the Cooper Alpha with a 1500cc engine. So not all the Coopers had the Coventry Climax engine. This has got Alpha power.
And they're having a good tussle. They're down in out of the side off our graphic there, aren't they? Outside of the top 20, I think. That's coming through there, the Alpha engine car. Unusual. It wasn't a common engine used in the time, but you could use, obviously, as you can now, and you have been able to do throughout Grand Prix racing. You can use whatever engine you like as long as it conforms to the regulations. As we look at Rudy Friedrichs.
Yeah, still running around in second place, but he's not doing much about that gap, is he? It's still extending. It's being shown now as 6.4 seconds. He's got a very comfortable gap himself over Mayers in third. So he just needs to hold it together, and he's on for a good podium finish. He missed out yesterday. Friedrichs was third yesterday, so second today. Mayers missed out on a podium finish, so he's got a good chance of getting his first podium of the weekend. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, we are missing Sam Wilson, who won yesterday. Great shame that he wasn't able to contest the race today. Obviously a problem with the car, but nonetheless it's given Andrew Haddon a real opportunity to shine, and he is doing so. There's Friedrichs in second place in the Cooper, and the Cooper cars were such a strong unit in those late 50s and early 60s. Jack Brabham taking his success with Cooper in 1959 and in 1960 before setting up his own Formula One team, the Brabham team. As we're just watching a nice little battle still going on between these two, very close. No change just yet.
Lee Moll's not getting a quiet race at all, is he?
No.
If it isn't Barry Cannell, it's somebody else that's having a battle with him.
Yes, indeed. Alex Morton still engaged in that, but no, he's just managed to break away again by a little bit. And there we are, there's Alex. So Alex is now in 9th position. He's being chased down at the moment by Chris Drake in another of the Coopers, slightly later model of Cooper, the 1964 car, the T71-73, which was pretty much one of the last of the Coopers that period.
And another example of the gorgeous Maserati 250F going through picture there with the yellow noseband on it, front-engined car. And that type of car was the type of car that the great Juan Manuel Fangio won his last World Championship in, and his last race, which was at the German Grand Prix at Nürburgring, reckoned to be his greatest race ever. And that was 1957 in a car very similar to that.
Yeah, it's lovely to see them going well at this stage. The 250Fs are running strongly. We still have Spears running in 4th position in his model. But Andrew Haddon is our race leader, and he's still opening up the advantage. He's still setting fastest lap after fastest lap. 2:41 was his lap last time around. 7.2 seconds when they crossed the line was his advantage over Friedrichs in 2nd position. A few more battles going on slightly further down the order. You're looking there at the number 28 car of Eddie Maguire. That is another Scarab, so like the car that is leading the race. And then another Maserati, as you say, right behind. And then car number 14, that's Richard Wilson in a Cooper T60. That's the 1500cc engined car from 1962.
And our own Sterling Moss proved his skills in the Maserati 250F as well. His father bought him one to race in Grand Prix racing because he was advised by the team manager of the Mercedes Grand Prix team that if you want to get noticed, you need to be out there and being competitive. So he got a 250F, and not that long afterwards he was racing for the Mercedes team alongside Juan Manuel Fangio, but never won the World Championship. Fangio won it 5 times. Moss never just got the whole season together.
No, very close on a couple of occasions, wasn't he? But it didn't quite work out for him. Haddon across the line once again. Let's just see what the gap is going to be this time between himself and Friedrichs, because we're counting down. Not quite there yet. I think he's going to get one more lap before we go on to the last one. And still Friedrichs running around in 2nd place. The gap some 7.1 seconds, so it stayed pretty constant. Actually, they did a very similar lap time there on that last lap. The track is a little drier, but it's still pretty greasy, pretty slippery, and they are going through traffic, so that always makes it more confusing in terms of lap time. There you can see the latest gap, 7.1. It is very consistent at the moment, but they are coming up past some more beautiful little cars. The number 20 car about to be passed, that's Typhon Salisbury, and another Lotus 18. We've got plenty of those in the list here today. The Scarab is through.
The Lotus 18 you just saw, actually a very famous car. That's the one that Sterling Moss won the Monaco Grand Prix in 1961 in. The one, if you've been looking at old pictures, you'll see Sterling driving the car with the side panels removed because it was such a hot day and he needed to get some air through the cockpit, so he took the side panels off. And that's the very car that we're seeing, not here in our picture now, but in this race, the car number 20. We're looking at the leader, Andrew Haddon, in the Scarab.
Yeah, number 30. Keep your eyes open and see if Andrew can open up that lead anymore. I don't think he really needs to. He's in such a controlled position, and he's turning history upside down. He's turning the table by taking front-engined dominance up against a bunch of mid-engined cars, which is great fun to see, and beautifully achieved by him, I have to say, so far. As long as he holds it together in the final part. This is the 1960 car, so it does have a 2.5 litre engine. It has a bigger engine than quite a few of the later mid-engine cars with their 1500cc motors, so a decent amount of power, but it is an earlier car, and yet it is showing great form and great drivability as well, and he is delivering superbly well. Friedrichs has brought the gap down slightly on this lap so far. 5.7 is being shown, but actually that middle sector, it's gone back up to 7.1. Oh, lovely drifting once again. See the way he just kind of held on to that opposite lock moment. So he will be going on to his final lap when he comes around this time, and he is thoroughly enjoying himself and providing us with some good entertainment. And at last we are seeing a bit of blue sky above us. What a relief it is to see that. Always fun to see some blue sky at Silverstone.
The track's still a little bit damp, but you can see now clearly a dry line as the leader turns into Abbey for the last time, and then through the left-hander at Farm. Short straight up to the tight right at Village, and Andrew Haddon turning in to that, just takes a little chunk of curb there to straight line the corner, then he'll do the same, just stays off the curb there actually, just goes a little wide round the loop and into Aintree. He does take a chunk of curb there to get a good run down onto the Wellington straight, long straight down, just slightly slower the terminal speed on the Wellington straight than the hangar straight. Not far short though of the top speed they reach on the far side of the circuit. And really sawing away at the wheel there, Andrew Haddon, just keeping the car in line.
Rudy Friedrich still in second place in the Cooper that was of the same year as this front-engine car, same not same but similar 2.5 litre engine, and but he is some 8 seconds further back in the mid-engined version of the Cooper, a car that back in its day certainly worked very well for Jack Brabham, who took 5 victories that season. Bruce McLaren took a win as well with that 2.5 litre Coventry Climax motor engaged, the FPL as it was known, and there were 5 private teams running Coopers back in the day. In those days it wasn't just the one manufacturer team, they were selling cars as customer cars to many private entrants, and Sterling Moss was indeed driving a Cooper that year as well, under the leadership of Rob Walker. Two of them worked together so effectively. But today there's no answer for the Scarab, is there? This US built machine, really impressive. They used their own created engine, in fact, originally in the Scarab, and Lance Reventlow didn't have the kind of success that this man is having right now. I have to say, Andrew Haddon's doing a lot better than Lance Reventlow did, the owner and creator of this car back in the day. Well, maybe a turn of history. But Andrew is going to deliver a very solid victory here in just a few moments' time. Again, through Stoke Corner, he has that lovely sideways drift. And he's just got the last section to come through here out of Club Corner. And we're about to see the winner of the HGPCA Pre-66 Grand Prix Cars race at Silverstone. The race winner is Andrew Haddon in the front engine Scarab. Well done to Andrew, absolutely dominant performance in the end, taking a victory by 7.9 seconds from Rudy Friedrichs in the mid-engine Cooper. And then we're going to see, I think it is going to be the number 53 car of Justin Mayers, who comes home in 3rd place, but we're still waiting for that car to come across the line. So that is the kind of gap between the top 3 cars. Yeah, just crossed the line now.
Rudy, I'll start with you. Was it a case of just lacking a bit of power to Andrew today?
Don't really know what to say. I'm so happy. I mean, I'm so sorry for Will with his engine misfired. So it would have been a great battle between the two of us. He would always be first. So I was just benefiting from the entire situation, and I was lucky. Car was really very, very well prepared by Andrew Todd, and a big, big thank you to him.
Well, it was beautifully driven as well. Justin, we'll come to you. 5th yesterday, podium today. That's a pretty good weekend's racing, isn't it?
It's been a fantastic weekend's racing. It's always nice to have variable weather conditions. So it is a big mix-up for the grid when the weather is so unpredictable. Never really driven the car in the wet before, and it turns out it's quite nice, really.
Excellent. Tom, how difficult was it dealing with a slightly drying track?
Yeah, it was very slippy in places, so you've got to be a bit careful there. But I had a great race with Barry Cannell, and just managed to pip him at the last minute.
Brilliant. Well done, everyone. Beautifully driven.